news. All of that may or may not be true. I'm here to talk about the elements of effective animation. I'm really happy to do so. Just a quick raise of hands. How many here are hungry right now? Okay, so yeah, I'm standing between you and the food, but hopefully we can make this at a quite high pace. So, to talk about effective animation, we really want to talk about animation first, right? To talk about animation, we need to talk about motion first, because animation is really motion is what we're imitating when we're doing motion, right? So M-O-T-I-O-N, motion. What is motion really? Motion is a change of an object over time. And to realize how fundamental that is, how I understand the world, I want to ask the question what life would look like without motion, right? So quite static. We wouldn't know smile turning into laughter, elephants playing or elderlies dancing, flowing rivers, falling leaves, silly walking, cats having on keyboards, couples kissing, the celebration of our lifetime, the sad moment we realize something is over, falling snow, or the awkward handshake when we just want to melt through the earth and never appear again. This is all thanks to motion, right? And we understand the world when things move like we expect them to, and when things don't move like we expect them to, we immediately know that something is wrong, something's off, right? So motion, with motion we make sense of the world. So this is Google and their design guidelines and material. Just as the shape of an object indicates how it might behave, watching an object move demonstrates whether it's light, heavy, flexible, big, small, or large. Motion describes spatial relationships, functionality, intention, beauty, and fluidity. So I think we can all agree to this. Like, this isn't that weird, right? Despite that, we usually build things like this. So this is Salesforce, and everything here is static, and it's not moving, right? And if we click somewhere, boom, everything changes, right? So in reality, nothing is motionless, but what we really do, we build things that we just leave things static. And I think we're really going to look back at this time of building UIs as an awkward time where we try to be static, but everything around us is really moving. Just pretending that this is how things are supposed to be, right? So this is how Google presented their new identity a few weeks ago, and it's a story told basically only through animation and motion, right? And animation is getting to be a principal part of their, or a core part of their design principles at Google, right? And actually all of these major players doing native OS and applications and apps have extensive documentation on how to use animation in their apps to do great things. And we have a lot of tools coming out, right? We have like Framer and Pixate and also Envision and Principle to do great animation prototyping that both developers and designers can use. But I'm not here to tell you that you have to use animation. Animation is a great tool to enhance the user experience, and really every change of state in an app, there's an opportunity to explain that better with an animation than without. So we're going to talk about two things today. One, we're going to talk about meaningful animations, how to create meaningful animations and what makes meaningful animation. Two, we're going to talk about beautiful animations. So how to create those and why they become beautiful. And really, I'm going to mix design and development throughout this talk. So if you're a designer and feeling a bit uneasy about development things, hopefully you can embrace that. And the opposite is true as well. If you're a developer who can embrace the design side of things. So we're going to mix them throughout the talk. So before that, a short introduction to me that is more authentic than that was where I guess, hello, hi, this is me. Just so we can find me on Twitter. My name is Tobias, and I'm from a town called Gothenburg on the west coast of Sweden, around here. Everyone I call Glenn here for some purpose, and this is my favorite book and my favorite album, and I have a very unhealthy relationship with waffles. I eat a lot of them. I used to work for a company called Spotify doing product design. Then I moved on to get out doing both development and design. So really what we're talking about here today, mixing those two constantly. Right now I'm at a company called SmartWeb, doing focusing on user research. I also did a lot of work on an open source framework, or not a framework, more like a tool called Spinkit. A bunch of free experience you can use in your projects. So, hello, hi, that's me. Let's get on to it, creating beautiful animation. Meaningful animation, sorry. So, what's meaningful animation? Well, Belhead, she's a great voice in the web community about using animations in your apps and your products, and she once said that the first rule of animation is to have a purpose. And I think that's very easy to agree to, and that's fair, but what's really a purpose? That's good, right? And I think mostly a purpose falls into one of these four categories. Either it's to aid comprehension and understanding of something, or it is to direct the attention, set the mood, or improve perception of speed. So let's dig into this. Aid comprehension and understanding. Let's look at just a quick example of aiding understanding of function. Right? So this is just a hover state that we're animating. It's not too big of a deal, but here we're aiding the sense of how something functions with animation. Right? This is more aiding how objects on the screen relate to each other. So this is spatial relationships. We can see that basically everything inside this box belongs to the icon. It becomes the icon, right? It's not a separate modal that appears when you press this. They are the same thing. The content here is the icon. This is paper on iOS, and they also talk about how objects on the screen relate to each other here with this animation. So they're anchoring the modal to the top. Sure, it's already pointing to the top where you tap, right? But they are, with this animation, anchored there. And even if we zoom in, you can see here how the globe has a small bounce to it, even when it hides. Right? Let's clearly show that whatever you hit right now is now hidden within this globe. Right? This is where you can find it. Just explaining to you how everything on the screen relates to each other. This is Google Inbox. This is a nice example. Look here when you tap the yellow. Right? It appears from the yellow, and when you close it, it disappears into the yellow. Right? So this is really a lot of clues of how everything is working around. It really feels like physical objects. So it appears from the yellow, disappears into the yellow. This is describing states of the animation. So this is when you edit something on iOS, right? And it mostly describes this by just letting all the icons start shaking, right? There's a small cross there, so you can remove things, but really this is communicating state through animation. So that's aiding comprehension, understanding, directing attention. Tumblr are great at this. So this is an example from the Tumblr app. And as we talked about before, we have a limited attention span, right? What we can focus on. This is dividing that attention span during a longer time. So they begin with first initial state with the house, then showing the shimmer right around the house to direct you to read that text. Hopefully exactly when you read that text, they show pop over in the search bar down below so that you can take in everything that they want you to take in. This is Twitter favoriting an item or a tweet. And this is a really small icon, and they have quite a long animation on this icon. It can be a really good idea when, especially when you cover like the entire button with your thumb, to really show that, hey, you push something and direct your attention to that button. It's also, though, crucially here, setting the mood, right? Because you did something really positive. Favoriting is a good thing, so they have like a shaky and happy animation. And I think this is really underestimated, how much we can do with just setting the mood. So here's Elevate. Elevate is like a game and an app at the same time, so they do a lot of animation and leverage this. So here you accomplish something. You're a great person, confetti all over the place. Right? You feel great after seeing this. This is Monument Valley. If you haven't played this game, I think you should. It's one of the most beautiful games on iOS. But here they create a sense of awe with a really slow animation at the top. So usually your animation should be quite fast, right? So you don't come in between the UI and the user. But here you can hear really slow animation with, or create a sense of awe with slow animation. So setting the mood there. This is a me text doing more of a, hey, this is not a too serious app. You shouldn't take me too seriously. Maybe you shouldn't take yourself too seriously when you're using this app. So setting the mood. Improving perception of speed is something that I love to do, or when people do with animation. And usually when I say this, I'm not talking about spinners. Spinners is a pretty sucky way to improve the perception of speed. Spinners really tell you that you're stuck right here, right now, and you don't know when something's going to change. Right, so that's not too bad. We can do better. And progress bar is usually better than a spinner. And so if you send a message on iOS, either on your phone or on OS 10, you get this progress bar at the top. It's quite fast when you write something with text, but if you write an image in here, you're going to see it's a bit slower. So the thing here is that Apple really doesn't know when this is kind of finished. Right? They have no data to know that we sent half of the message. They're just guessing. But still, it gives a better sense of feedback to the user, even though they're just faking it, because they have a pretty good clue of when it's going to finish. They can do their best guess. Right? So even if you don't have data, you can do a progress bar that at least tells you more than a spinner. You're going towards something and it's going to finish and things are going to be great and happy. Another way to do this is by using false content, right, or fake content. This is Facebook. just launching the app on iOS. You see 3 states here. First, you see a blank state, which is just a best guess of how the content is going to look, right? So that's fake, right? It's just a, it could be a PNG, probably a static interface file. Then they do fake content after that, this stage, right? So if you can't see that clearly, you can just launch Facebook, and you're going to see some very subtle shimmering inside of some fake content. And then when they get the content, they fade it in on top of it, right? So this is all about presenting something as quickly as possible to improve the perception of speed, how you perceive the experience. So that's very good to do it. This is Twitter doing the not doing that, right? And you can question the motives. Maybe they have a really good thought behind this. This is a beautiful animation, by the way. This expanding up and then showing the UI. You can see how like the tab bar at the bottom animates in and the navigation bar animates in from the top. It's really beautiful, but they could probably improve the perception of speed by doing something else here than just putting a big logo on top of everything. So rather do this than do that. This actually happens as well when you launch any app on at least iOS. Right? They present a static screenshot and they load in the UI and fade it on top of it. So this is just to improve the perception of speed, that whatever you did, you get feedback on that immediately. So when optimizing for speed, prefer progress bars to spinners, usually, and prefer Fox content to fake content loading to progress bars. You can use spinners for great things though, right? So this is Google with their new identity. And here, they let the spinner tell you a lot about the state, right? So they can't like speed up the sense of the speed, perceived speed, but they can tell a lot about the state. So they use 4 different spinners here, basically, transforming between. So this is waiting for you, then it's taking your input, then it finishes with a slam, right? And then it's loading and waiting for feedback from the web. So they managed to transform a spinner to just show you very clearly the different states that you will go through doing this. So spinners aren't great, bad, right? You can do great things with spinner as well. So that's an overview on meaningful animations. We have 8 comprehension and understanding, direct attention, set the mood, and improve the perception of speed. However, there's another thing that you should keep in mind when you do meaningful animations. It's something that many miss. So this is crucial, right? So what you should do is you should change the animation depending on user action. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look at a modal box here. So maybe I click something and it disappears, and then I do thing here, and then it disappears. Right? The animation here tells me nothing about what happened, but it's animating so that it's beautiful, right? But it's not very meaningful. So maybe share very, very simple view code. Maybe you have something like this, you show the modal, and then you hide it, and this is whatever you do once you run the same code. So rather than doing this and then hiding it, we can do better. So we can start reading a story about what's happening with this modal. So maybe we hide it with an expanding animation. Right? This isn't very important in itself, but it lets us to start weaving a story where we can change the animation depending on what happens next. So right now, if we press cancel, we can shrink it back. Right? And that very clearly shows that wherever this thing came from, I want to send it back to that place. Right? So it disappears. You press cancel. So if we show this again and then press do thing again, we can do the opposite. We can expand it and fade it out towards you to show, like, just as if you're buying something at a shop, right? You're taking something, you're looking at it, and then putting it in your bag, right? It comes closer to you. So it's kind of the same clue there. So again, showing it, cancel, shrink, showing it, do thing, expand. So this reads a story about what's happening. So rather than just having, let's say I have a general show function here, instead of having just hide, we do a very specific cancel animation, and then we show it, and then we do maybe an apply animation. So change animation depending on user action, and differentiate user paths with different animations. So this is really what I'm talking about. Here at the bottom, you have the different states really that the UI is in. So you have modal hidden, then the modal visible, and modal hidden again. And it's easy to just like animate between these 3 states. What you want to be doing is to show this path that the user is taking. Either you cancel something or you prefer something. You want to show that to the user. So think outside of just the views that you're going back and forth. So this is Tumblr. I love Tumblr, by the way. But look here at the post animation. And then you're going to post something. Okay. So I post, and it's the same animation, and I don't know what happened. So if we scroll down here in a sec, we're going to see that the thing we posted was actually posted. It's just below this big introductory placeholder. But really, there are two issues here, to be fair. Right? They could just remove this and the issue would be gone. But also, since they have the same animation when they close and when you post, it could be really confusing. You have no idea what action was actually taken or what happened to the UI. This is Mail doing the right thing. So this is Mail OS 10. If you send an email right here, it's gonna disappear, right? Basically telling you that whatever you were writing is now like in the cloud or something, right? It's a metaphor for sending something away. But if you close it, not the same animation, just disappears. So they differentiate the user paths with animation. So, sorry. Differentiate user paths with different animations. So with that, let's look at creating beautiful animations when we do web things. Most of these examples have been like natively on iOS and OS 10. That's mainly because they are really ahead of the game doing animation. So all of this you can do with web, and we're going to take a look at how to do that completely. So the primary two animating on the web, right? So if we're doing pure CSS animations, we have mostly transitions and animation blocks that we can do. And you can basically animate anything in CSS, anything to the right here, right? All of these values, you can just add a class, change those values, and animate that change. So you have things like opacity, you can do border animation, you can do background color, letter spacing, margin, moving stuff. If you Google this, you'll find all the things you can animate. However, it's not really as easy as that, because they won't get smooth and nice doing that. So we're going to take a look at that. But first, just a quick, what is really a transition, right? So this is some fake HTML and CSS. So we have a box here to the left. You see the HTML at the top, and then we define the transition here. So this just tells you that whatever changes, if the opacity changes, we should animate that change during 300 milliseconds. So if we add that class, it's going to disappear. Right? You can do more stuff like that. You can also define, instead of just opacity, you can do all. And then you can add transform, and then you can scale it out by adding the same class. Animations are essentially transitions on drugs. Right? So if you have a transition that's basically going from state A to state B. If an animation, that's just going from state A to state B with as many in the middle keyframes as you want. Right? So you can just keep on adding stuff. So this spinner, for example, is made with 3 keyframes. So we have this. This is the code for the spinner. And this is the animation declaration. And it's just saying that for this animation, rotate plane, animate it during 1.2 seconds, loop it infinitely, and use the easing curve easy now. So the name here is no magic name, it's the same name that we defined below. And then we just define the keyframes. It's a normal cube, then it's a flipped cube, then we flip it again, and then we just have these 3 states, right? And then we get something like this. So it's really powerful, you can do great things with that. However, it's not as easy as just animating any CSS properly, right? So we want to strive for 60 FPS to really smooth animation. And doing that can be difficult, but if you adopt these best practices that we're going to look at, hopefully you can do that whenever. And if you don't do that, you're going to get really like shuddery and JP and lag animations, and it's not going to feel very nice. So the bad news are that all of this, for example, and most CSS properties that you're used to is a no-go, right? Do not animate this because it's not going to perform well. So the good news is we have opacity and we have transform. And with transform, right, that's really just a lot of other things in disguise. We can rotate, scale, and translate. And keeping to those, just those properties, animating those, you can get great performance and you don't have to worry about anything else. So just to illustrate what we have opacity here. We can fade things, we can rotate things, scale back and forth. We can also translate things, which is basically just moving with a nice name. And then, right, we have this. So with this, you can do any animation that we have looked at today and that you're going to see today. So keep to these, and you're going to get really smooth, great animations. So to be clear, if you're animating width, that's a no-go. Use translate X instead. Height, it's also a no-go. Do transform scale Y instead. Top right, bottom left, also no-go. Transform, margin, same here, translate, padding, same, right? So all of this that we're used to using, you can't use them in animate. This is a good question, I think, or a fair question. If you can't animate the background color of something, how do we animate the background color? Well, it's not that hard, right? We can, if we have this box and want to animate this color of the box, we can just, with a pseudo element, add another box on top of it, and we can control the animation with opacity instead, and we're going to get a really smooth fade between two colors. So that's a great way to work around that limitation. Same here, if you can't animate border width, how do you animate border width? Right, so maybe we want to do something like this. This from my side, we just animate up the border. Do not do this with border width, just add another element and animate that instead. So that's it for the things you can use. For the flickering in Safari, so this is a nasty thing that you've probably seen a lot if you use Safari. If you look at this paragraph here below, it blinks once in a while. This is basically an element moving from being running on the GPU back to the CPU, and it renders differently, so you're going to see like things blinking and acting, looking really weird. This is mostly a Safari issue, but you can fix this by just adding translate Z. It's an ugly hack, right? And you should, as soon as this is fixed, we know to remove it, but this is a sure way to fix it right now. This is actually, sorry, going from the site to the conf. You can see the same issue here constantly at the top, right? So if you scroll, it's going to start blinking, right? So, sorry, but this is really easy to fix with just adding, for this case, a translate Z to that actual logo here, and it's going to disappear. Will change is a property that is trying to fix some of the same issues. There is not full support for will change yet. Safari and IE does not support it, but it's basically a new success property that you can use to prepare the browser that something is going to change. You're about to animate something, so you can prepare the element for that, so you're going to get a smooth animation. So this is an example we would use it. You would use it. So if you have something that is often animating, like this menu that is often disappearing or appearing, you could add this. If not, if you have something that is just animating once, you could, for example, add this on hover, and then on click, it would be hopefully prepared to do that animation. But the browser support is pretty limited, but you should at least keep an eye out for that. So that's animation performance. Beautiful animations with easing. Right, easing is really important to do beautiful animations. And what's really easing? Well, easing is how fast or slow an object moves over time with an animation, right? So the rate of change, specification for that. So this is Apple in their design guidelines, and they say strive for realism and credibility in custom animation. Right? So it's important to remember when you're choosing an easing function that nothing, everything that we know and see is anchored in the real world, and nothing moves along a linear function. Right? There's nothing such as moving along a linear function. Maybe if you have like a train moving slowly across the screen, or if you're watching a video and you're like showing what time you're on, you can do that with animation. But regularly, just avoid linear. Right? It's not a good one. Ease-out is like this. Confusingly enough, it's used. You can use it to build in elements. Right, so it starts at a constant speed and then it slowly goes out. So that's great for animating in, because you get a very smooth end to it. Ease in is the opposite, right? You start slow and then you go at a constant speed and you stop at a constant speed. And that's great to build out things. Right, so if you move something off the screen, you want to finish with like force and show that whatever is like disappearing is actually disappearing, not like slowing down and slowly, maybe not, maybe not disappearing. So therefore, ease in is really good to animate out objects, because you get an easy, smooth start and then a constant speed when it exits the screen. If you're ever unsure what to do, a good thing is to just default to easy now, right? You get the best of both worlds. Or the worst. Really though, great animations always almost use custom easing. And custom easings can be really hard to do, like create yourself, but for example, there's a really good resource called easings.net. I'm going to show this link again later, so if you don't have your phone up right now, it's fine. This is how it looks like. They have a lot of easings you can just pick and choose from and see how they're constructed and maybe construct your own. There's also actually in the Safari nightly build some really nice enhancements to this. Okay, it's outside the screen, but you can customize, do custom Bezier curves and preview them inside of the browser. Right? So this is coming very soon. Keep a look out for that.
It's in Firefox.
It's in Firefox? It's already in Firefox, so just use Firefox and you'll be fine. So creating beautiful animations with delay and timing, right? Delays can be really powerful for getting something beautiful. So this is when you unlock your screen on iOS. Right, and look at all the icons here when they appear. It's basically the same animation for every single icon. The difference is they just have a small delay, right? There's incremental delay for the icons from the inside and out, which is a really smooth and nice effect to a lot of objects on the screen. So Tumblr does the same thing. You write something to animate everything out, it's basically the same animation being applied, just with a different delay. So if you're doing Sass, you can very easily accomplish this with a for loop, for example. You could just increment the delay for every loop here. You could get something like this. You could incorporate this in vanilla CSS, but it's Sass. This is what a lot of us Sass, right? It's really easy to prototype animations and doing things like this. So you could do something like this really easily with that. So, however, timing and delay is kind of unreliable in some browsers, right? So Safari tends to break and just ignore some delays or like push it slightly in one direction or the other. So this is a spinner that I'm working on, and it's just 4 planes with the same animation applied and then a rotation as well. So it looks like the cars are stacking up in front, right? But this is Safari having some fun with that. It's been like, I don't care about your delay. So if you want to be sure and you have something very like timing sensitive, control your time with JavaScript. Browsers can be pretty unreliable currently. Chrome and Firefox are better, but Safari is a bit off at the moment. So to summarize, today we've been talking about creating meaningful animations. And we do that by making sure they're either aiding comprehension and understanding, directing attention, setting the mood, or improving the perception of speed. And while we do that, we make sure that we differentiate user paths with different animations. And then we talk about creating beautiful animations, and when we do that, we use transitions to go between A and B. We use animations for more keyframes between A and B. We animate only transform and opacity to achieve full 60 FPS, and we use easing functions that give a realistic look. Also, you can use incremental delays for groups of objects. That's really powerful. So this is the part where you bring up your mobile phones and take screenshots off the screen, because I'm going to show you some really powerful links. If you're interested in just getting a ton of animation examples and looking how that can, seeing how that can look like, anime.css is a great just collection of any animation that you can imagine and sold on in CSS. If you have seen a landing page for Stripe, for example, stripe.com, we animate basically everything, and they're really good at animating stuff. And BDC, one of the designers there, is working on and has made an animation framework, which is really lightweight, it's really small, and just gets down to what's needed, right? And he's probably one of the best animators out there right now. So if not use the framework, at least look at the framework and learn some of his tricks. So there's some inspiration, design inspiration, if you're looking to enhance your UI with animations. Userinterface.com and Captivate. Both just no text, no like describing things, just tons of good examples as videos and GIFs. Also some references. Easings is what we looked at earlier. Flip is a great concept and article by Paul Lewis. He's working at Google and he's doing a lot of writing on performance and animation. And if you're doing more complex animation, like moving, maybe you want actually to move an object on the screen from like position absolute top to somewhere else. There's techniques for achieving that, and he goes through those in details if you just Google Flip Paul Lewis. So that's it. That's me, and thank you all for listening.
Thanks very much, Tobias. Do you have any questions about all of those animation goodies from the audience? One over there from the gentleman with the ringlets.
Just a point, it's quite funny to see iOS examples and then Safari messing it up and what you have to do to make Safari work. So the example with the translate Z0, repeating that with non-prefix is actually a very dangerous thing, because then Safari can never fix it. So if something is broken in Safari, then fix it with the prefix, because then it can be fixed, because the prefixes will go away. They've been promising us for 5 years now. So it will happen.
Right, good point.
what are the prototyping tools that you use when you build interaction designs?
I've been looking at Principle lately, which was one of the latest examples in that stream of prototyping tools. It's from an Apple engineer, and it's really good. It's mostly for mobile though. Usually, I just like to just build things for the right platform straight away, right? So if I'm prototyping iOS animations, it's really easy to animate in iOS. It's like just a couple of lines of code. They have great support for like anything you want to do. Even if you animate something to here, and then in the middle of that animation, decide to animate to here instead, it will just fix that for you, right? It won't like pop into that air, just like create a smooth animation to that point instead. So iOS, if I'm animating for iOS, I will try to do it and learn that code. I think that as a best practice, it's a good best practice because you will learn the limitations before prototyping them, and it's not that hard. So I try to do things in HTML, CSS, and natively on iOS.
Any more questions?
Yeah, one quick question. How much animation is too much?
Well, I could show you some examples, but I guess like things you have to look out for is that there are some people get really confused by animations, right? There was a lot of talk about when the latest version of iOS was launched, that things moving around when you tilted the phone was actually like making them feel sick, right? So there's that. In general, moving big elements can be really dangerous. So if you go to apple.com, you're going to see a huge carousel and everything moving. Typically, that's going to make someone feel sick. So try to avoid that. A tip, I think, if you're, try to animate like one or a group of objects at a time to avoid animating too much, but also over great distances. So there's a neat trick that you can use. Instead of animating one big object over the entire screen, like just do a very small offset, like 200 pixels, and then fade it in. And then you're going to have a very short animation, but it's going to look like it's animating or coming from some direction where it's really not. Right, so a great trick to avoid too much is just decreasing the translation amount and doing the opacity as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tobias Ahlin.